viewer, and welcome to Women's View. I'm your host, Anne Morimi, and it's a great pleasure to have you with us today. We are so honored today because we have guests coming all the way from Australia, and it is such a great privilege to have them with us. Despite the time difference, despite the distance, it is really awesome that we are able to do this. So, we are also on social media. The handle is GBS TV Africa. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, that's the handle that you should be able to use. And remember to subscribe. If you want to send us a message, the number to use is 21144. So today is going to be very, very interesting because we're going to be talking to some experts, and the topic is about relocation to Australia. So I want to give my guests a chance to introduce themselves. And as usual, we'll start with the ladies first. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Anne. My name is Grace. Hello, viewer. I'm so privileged to talk to you today. So my name is Grace Kehio. I'm a registered migration agent here in Australia. We have been in Australia for more than 14 years now, and we are so glad to be able to share our experience with you today.
Excellent. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you. We also have a gentleman in the house. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Hello, viewer. My name is Michael Kehio. I am a director at M&G, Migration and Visa Services, and I'm also an education consultant. And like Grace has said, we've been here for 14 years now, so we are really happy to be talking to you today.
Wow. I'm so impressed that you've been there for 14 years. 14 years is a long time, but time tends to fly. And only when you say 14 years does it seem a lot, because maybe for you, it feels just like the other day. So Grace, I wanted to start with you. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to relocate to Australia, and why Australia? Because there are so many countries in the world. So why in particular did you like Australia and decide to move there?
To be honest, and from the time I was young, I wanted to move. Okay. I went to a high school, and I will never forget this. And one of the teachers said to us, "Don't agree to die local." And he explained, he said, there's people, I'm from Moranga, by the way. There are people who are born in Moranga, they go to school in Moranga, they get married in Moranga, they get their children, bring them up in Moranga, and then they die in Moranga. They will never know the beauty of the world. And to me, that was something. There is sometimes teachers talk and someone ran with the word. For me, that was something. I put it on, and I knew I will go somewhere. So way before I can even know where to go, I knew I'm not gonna be local, not a local. But I didn't know it's this far. This far, I didn't have an idea. So when we got this opportunity, we were actually looking at going to Cayman Island, but we had an agent who introduced us to Australia and explained to us the beauty of being in Australia, which was very inspiring. And with that, we ran with it. The other part, most of it was played by Michael. Maybe he will talk about it more.
Right. Wow. I like that already. You can be international. You don't have to live in one place all your life, And I actually feel that you have quite an adventurous spirit, Grace, because to be able to move so far away from home is not easy for a lot of people. So, Michael, are you the one who also helped her with the adventurous spirit? Why Aussie for you?
I think, when I met Grace, obviously, like she said, she was very keen to leave the country, experience the world and all that. From my perspective, I used to work for an accounting firm, EY, or Ernst & Young, in Kenya, in Nairobi, based in Nairobi. Had a really fulfilling career there, loved working there. But then it got to a time when I really wanted international exposure. I was, doing audits. I had audited, companies listed at the Nairobi Stock Exchange and all that. but I was feeling like I just want to know what is out there in the world. And so, like Grace said, we started applying, or I started applying for jobs. And an agent introduced us to Australia, told us about Australia. And so I actually applied to KPMG Australia, and basically did the interviews over the phone. And KPMG, through the migration agent, processed the visa. And that's how we migrated to Australia.
Wow, I find your story so inspiring. You know, a lot of times people think that the people who want to relocate to a different country do so because they are struggling, and let me say struggling financially in Kenya, which is a reality for a lot of people. You know, you go to university, you try and get a job, you get a job, and so you're so frustrated, and therefore you want to leave the country. But when I hear you, Michael and Grace, you were already in careers that were good, that, you know, you are the people that were already doing well. But what I'm really hearing is that it's more wanting international exposure, wanting to have some adventure, wanting a new experience. And so I really just want us to start there, Grace. Maybe you can tell us, when in your experience as a migration agent, what are the kind of people that you find want to relocate? You know, are there certain careers that, or are there certain, well, like the profile of the person who is relocating? How does it look like?
You see, the person, okay, I deal with a lot of people, and I have seen, I see people succeeding, others falling off the wagon, they can't make it. But I have to say the people who go through to it is those people who have a deep desire to move. They are not settled. They want to experience something else. The people that move to Australia are the people who have deep desire to a change. You must be unsettled where you are. The other thing is Australia is not a place that you can get up and get invitation and come. You have to invest in yourself. So Australia, for you to come as for example, there are many ways you can come to Australia. I don't know whether I can talk about it right now. So that question can make sense to many people. There's different ways you can come to Australia. They are what we call family visas. People come through the family. For example, and if you get a husband in Australia who wants you to join him, so what you would do is you would get a partner's visa. For example, if I go Kenya and I get a child and I want to bring that child over, like adopt a child legally, not to pick any child anywhere. I wish someone can do that, but no, you have to legally go through the process, the legal process of getting that child to be yours. Once you get those papers, we can bring you here in Australia with a child visa. So they're different. Those are family visas. They are on their category by themselves. And even people who have come to Australia and they want to bring their spouses and their children, we classify them as a family visas. But there is skilled visa, which is a major thing that people come, like Michael and I, we came to Australia as a skilled migrant. Skilled migrant, you need to have an occupation. Australia has a list of occupation of the people they want, the shortage of occupation in Australia, the people they say they would want these people to come and join us and enhance our economy. I want to stress the word enhance Australian economy, because I want people to understand that Australia is not doing you a favor. It's give and take. What are you giving me, and what will we take from you? So it's give and take. You bring your knowledge, your skills, your experience, and Australia give you their wealth, and they give you all the benefits. It's a give and take thing. So you have to bring something on the table, like any other venture you get into. So for skilled migration, they look at specific occupations, which are normally in public. They are put somewhere you can see them. There is also, you have to have the skills. You have to have gone to school. But the other thing I want to stress is there is also investment. Eh? It's like you're getting a kashamba, you know, you are investing in something, hoping to get returns in future. So there is a lot of you will have to put in your investment, and that's what I mean. It's not it's not uh, what do I say? It's not expensive, but again, you have to put in some investment in it, and you have to be prepared to put in investment into it.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. And I like what you say that it's not about invitation because a lot of times, for example, when people want to go to, let's say, the US, they usually have got to get an invitation from somebody who is already there. But this time it's sort of different. It's like you are the one on the driver's seat because I already had Michael say that he's the one who applied to an organization in Australia, and therefore it's like him. It's very driven by the individual. You also talked about you've got to feel unsettled and have a deep desire to move. That means that you've got to be passionate about wanting to live where you are and be able to come to Australia. And you know what? I'm sure that the people who migrate to Australia are people from all over the world. It's not just people from Kenya and people from Africa. And I therefore want to ask Michael, how easy is it and how easy was it for you to fit into Australia life?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Anne. And that's why I like what Grace started with, that if someone wants to migrate, they must have this very deep desire to actually migrate. It's not, I can potentially migrate depending on, it's almost like you've reached the end. It doesn't mean that you're broke, busted, and and all that. It just means you've reached the end. You have achieved what you wanted to achieve in Australia, and now you are looking forward to a new experience. And it's nothing can sort of stop you from that. So, for example, at the point I was migrating to Australia, even if my employer had offered me, double my salary, I knew that was it. That I am migrating. It wasn't about money. It was more that I'm done with Kenya and I want experience. And so we always, when we talk to clients, that's what we say. We tell clients that you need to be very serious. If you're migrating, you need to really want to migrate. And that way then you are able to pay the price of adjusting to a new culture. Because I'm not looking back. It's like the story we see in the Bible of people moving from Egypt to Canaan. If you have all those residual issues of I like garlic and I like onion and all that, like you live in that that confusion. But if you're passionate about the new land that you're going to, it's a really amazing experience. So in my case, I migrated to Australia to Perth. Actually, that's a different city from where we are. To KPMG as an assistant manager there. And the culture was completely different. How people talk to their bosses. People are very free with each other. People talk to their bosses. They crack jokes. And I had never seen anything like that when I migrated from Kenya. The Kenyan setting was more, everyone is serious. When you go there, you present your case. It was just a completely different mindset from what is actually here. And so I had to really also change. My mindset had to change. The way I perceive things had to change. The way I perceive bosses had to change. The way here they really like someone who is very social, someone who is relaxed, someone who is able to laugh. And you'll find even when you're doing an interview, for example, they want someone who is humorous and who can tell a joke or who can very relaxed. Whereas sometimes if you do some of those things in Kenya, people think this is a joker. So, so that ability to be able to change and adapt to a new culture is really, really, really important. And many Kenyans have made it. We've also helped a lot of people come to Australia, and they're doing very well. But that's really the main thing. That are you really willing to become a different person, be able to interact with people a bit differently from how you used to do it back in Kenya.
Wow, I like that. That personal experience that you've shared because you're right. Here, people are very serious and a bit structured. So, I mean, you get to experience just a new way of doing business, a new way of being serious in a being in a serious environment in a relaxed way,
Yeah.
and having very easy, communication with even people who are above you as well as people who are below you. And maybe we can also talk a little bit about family life, Grace, because that's usually also a concern when, let's say, for example, a family is relocating. What is the culture in Australia in terms of family life? And I'm saying this because sometimes when I hear stories about, let's say, people in the US, I feel that it's a very busy environment and there's a lot of pressure. And then also I hear that, in Kenya, we are very lucky because we're able to access labor that is cheap. Things like
Yes.
plumbing, things like electrical, things like even having a nanny, having a house help, and that makes the family life a little easier in a way. So how is that in Australia?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say what one thing we like about Australia is people live a very balanced life, especially once you get a job. And it's actually ingrained in the culture in Australia. So people would kind of look down upon someone who works too much. They really, and even bosses sometimes, they want you to work up to 5. And after 5, if you're still working, they get concerned. They're like, don't you have a family? Where is your balance? And those are some of the things they look at, even at work. And the reason for that is to make sure that they are managing the stress levels that people have. So it's very interesting you ask this, because I remember one time we went out with a family and we met this couple, and the guy was from the US. He was a white American guy. The girl was from Australia, a white Australian girl. And so we were asking, so what's the difference between the US and here? What are you feeling? And the first thing he said is, I thought Australians are faking it. Why? Because they don't look stressed. They just look like they're enjoying life. They're very balanced and all that. But then over time, you got to understand that it's actually the culture here. It's people prefer hanging out with families and all that. So I would say from a family perspective, it's a really good environment. Having said that, I must also say that here you kind of do everything yourself. So if someone is used to house helps and someone to do their gardening and someone to do their washing and all that, it changes completely, where you become a jack of all trades. The other day I was doing my lawn. All these things you have to sort of do it by yourself. But then it becomes quite interesting because you gain all these sort of new skills. So that's one of the key differences, I would say.
Oh wow, I'm so happy to hear that. Grace, yes, you have some input?
I also wanted to add, like, Australia is also very accommodating, according to our experience. It's it's very culturally diverse, so it makes it easier for families to settle quickly. For example, if you look at how culturally diverse, I think it's one of the countries that has many people from everywhere. Like our what we call the owners of the land, they are just 3% of population. So we have about 23 point something million, and only 3% are our local, which are our locals owners of the land. So you can see that most of the people, one way, whether they are born here or not, one way they have ancestors of people from other countries. That make it very easy for everyone to settle in, because like 26% of the people are born overseas, and maybe they say about 45% of the population have one parent from another country. So that's become very easy for people, for someone to feel accepted, because there is no that ownership, like it's our land. So there is, okay, they are owners of the land, which we respect and we honor, but most of the people are from overseas or from different places.
I really like that, because one of the issues that we are struggling with a lot in Kenya, which I know is the issue of ownership, the issue of tribalism. That deep vested interest in your tribe in Kenya, it becomes quite a problem, as you know. So it's very refreshing to hear that Australian is cosmopolitan, and there's more of there's a lot of diversity, and you all feel that you have like an equal say or a right to be there. You don't. No one is feeling as though they have a greater right to be there because it's their country. And even if there are those, thankfully, it's 3%. 3% is pretty low, you know. So that feeling is easy to dilute it in a way. But I also liked what you said, Grace, earlier, that it's a give and take. It's an investment. Like it is, you're giving the country something, but you're also getting something from the country, and that makes it very professional and very like it's a trade, you know. And so I just want us to discuss a little bit about the investment because, you know, is that in a way a discriminatory kind of thing in a way? Because are you only like, is it just for people who are middle class and above, like, you know, or are there people who just can't afford it? How expensive is it?
Okay, I don't know how to answer to say whether it's, well, in a way, everything you have to cut, you know, you know what I mean? Like, they can't open up for everyone. For example, you can have all the money you want and all the education you want, but Australia will be you'll have very limited chances once you're over 45 years old. They want young and vibrant. So that's one of the things. So anything above 45, you can't get permanent resident in Australia.
Unless, for example, you come by business.
Yeah, unless you come with a family visa or you have a lot of money to invest in a business in Australia. So that's by itself, whether you want to correct discrimination, they have to cut, like, okay, we want people who will grow our economy. We don't want people who will come and we start taking care of them when they are old.
Yeah.
It's just fair that they come give something to economy before they can receive. Because as you know, Australia is very good. We have a good medical health cover. Our education system is very good. So you are gaining something. One of the things we normally say, I normally tell young families that you come, look at it like you're investing it for your children. Once you bring the children, I know of my clients and my friends who I have brought here, they say, I would, even if I wanted to go back, I cannot give my children what they are getting from Australia. Even if I took them to the higher schools where I'll be paying thousands of US dollars, I cannot offer them what they are being offered in Australia state school where I don't pay nothing. So that as a parent, when you know everything, when you become a parent, you want to do everything for the children. So when you know they are getting something from Australian system, you run with it, you stay, you look for a job, you look for it to work because the education system is almost free. To be honest, I think for my primary school son, I paid $200 Australian dollars per year. You know how much is that in Kenya shillings per year? So that is to cater for stationery, not even enough. So the others is covered by the government. So that's how, and I don't worry about getting private health care. You can get it, but I don't worry because I know I am covered by government medical health facility, you know, like it's there for everyone. So those are the things that people look at. The security, I don't look at my back. Have I locked my car? No. Do I worry about the car is outside and we didn't lock or we locked? That's not something we do worry about. Those are no issue. So there are so many benefits you gain by coming in here, and those supersede the investment you put. So coming back to investment, one, you have to have the education. Most of the skilled migrants will have to have a bachelor's degree or equivalent to Australian bachelor's degree. I know that's not an issue for Kenyans. Kenyans are going for masters. So I've never had an issue with that. You have to invest in money. You are looking at an age of between 10,000 to 20,000, depending on who you're migrating with.
And that's how many
Australian dollars. Yeah. 10,000.
Not Kenya shillings.
What's the exchange rate?
It's about 85 now, but normally it's between 10,000 to 20,000, depending on your family. If you're a family of you have three children, So you're looking at more. If you're just a single person, you're looking at the side of the 10,000. So when I say investment, you have to have that money. That's why I said it's like you are putting in a kashamba, somewhere hoping to get money. So you have to get that money. You have to have the education. You have your English needs to be right. The requirement we look, and that's what we do. We make sure you don't put that money just for the sake. We make sure when Anne, you come to me and you tell me, Grace, can you help me migrate to Australia? Just like my agent did. I look at your education, I look at your experience, I look at your everything, and I make sure before you put in that money, there is a high chances that you're gonna go through. And because we have studied migration law, so I am able to assess you like a case officer would assess you. Definitely, I would never guarantee, but I will make sure that you tick all the boxes before I can be able to allow you to invest that money.
Oh, I like that. I like that very much because, even when you're investing, you need someone to guide you in making the right investment. So what I'm hearing is that when people use your migration service, they're able to get the consultation and the guidance so that, for example, if I'm over 45, number one, already you're going to tell me that it's going to be difficult. Your case will be difficult. And therefore, I won't sink my money into something and not get a return. I really like that because that guidance is very important. And that's availability of truth in terms of just this can work, this cannot work. I think that is a very good service that you're able to offer your clients. And Michael, tell us a little bit about, okay, I'm hearing a lot of pros about moving to Australia, and I really like them. The infrastructure is good, there's security, you're able to get Medicare is available, and even education. And those are things that as parents and as individuals, we're very, very excited about. Are there any cons, for example, like, do you find that you're able to give a good social support network maybe to your family if you're moving with children? Are you able to easily overcome missing home, and what are the challenges that you also need to prepare for so that you can be ready to deal with that?
Yeah, I would say maybe starting from a work point of view or workplace point of view, you will find that potentially if you're very reserved, then you need to become more talkative and all that. And sometimes, with our culture in Kenya, people tend to be a bit more quiet, especially when they are talking to people who are either older or more senior at work. And so that sometimes poses to be quite a challenge, and it takes a bit of time to get used to that, where you and I'll give you an example. When I started, I remember I had a team because I was an assistant manager. I had a team. A number of those people were actually Australians, and I did an audit and all that. And then the partner came in, and like in Kenya, everyone would wait for the manager to first talk, but the partner comes in and everyone in the team, gives him a hug and they ask him, how was footy? And did you go for footy? And did your team win? And they would do all these things. So for me, the first time I thought, this is mayhem, this is chaos. Like I was feeling like I'm not controlling my team. I'm not managing my team well. And here a partner has just walked in and everybody is on his case, and they're asking very personal questions. And so, what did you do with this and all that? And so that sometimes can be quite a challenge to a Kenyan who, we separate work and personal life, And for Australians, there is no separation. Sometimes they'll ask you very personal questions and they expect that you will just be open and say it. And so that's the cultural change or transformation is one of the really big key challenges that I find Kenyans go through. And so it takes a while. And I would say it's important for a Kenyan to be patient. Our culture is not wrong. Their culture is not right. It's just a different culture. But to actually make it through, you need to do that. So for example, now I try and call my anyone I'm working with. So when I was, whether it's a client and all that, they want you to interact with them and call them as often as possible, not just rely on emails. And so you see, that's another shift. They want to feel you. They want to feel you care. They want to feel you call. They want to feel, they don't want to just see emails. And that's the same thing with work. You'll find that on Monday, this happens a lot. On Monday, everybody's asking, so what did you do over the weekend? So did you do this? And people will talk about very trivial things in the mind of a Kenyan. Oh, I took my dog out. I took my dog to a vet. Oh, my dog died. And the person is very sorrowful, and you have to hug them and tell them, so sorry, your dog passed on. All these things. So that's the first thing. The other one, I would say, is from a fitting in point of view. A lot of people, there are quite a number of Kenyans here now. So a lot of people tend to have friends outside work, and that really works well for many people. So that is really someone's personal initiative to connect with other people. Now, I must say, however, that as an example, my daughter, most of our friends are both from the community around here, but also school friends, and a good number of them are actually white. So the kids don't actually see the difference. So they hang out with, like the other day, she went shopping with them and all that. She's 14. And so you'll find that people settle in very, very quickly, especially kids. And there's no difference for them when it comes to color and all that. So that's one of the really, really good thing. My son the other day, he had a kid come here for a play date. They call it a play date. And this is, again, a white Australian family. So people integrate quite well if you are open to receiving people, and people are very open in Australia. So yeah, it's quite a good place, I must say. But those are the sort of the challenges that the other thing is, you might find potentially, if you are a manager in Kenya, sometimes you might have to take a step back, because they can't just give you to, say, manage a branch, or say an ANZ bank branch. So they will want to first test you, and they might test you for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And it's actually important, because if you just come from Kenya and you want to manage a branch here and you don't actually have that cultural fit, it can mess up things quite a bit. A customer comes and wants to talk about their dog, and you're thinking, man, this is a waste of time. We should be talking about the loan application and all that. And so that mentality shift is really, really important.
Oh, wow, I already feel like I want to go there. As in, I'm finding it so cozy and like warm and real. Like you really connect with people at different levels. And I feel like that is something that can only enhance the human experience. It can only be more fulfilling when you have those additional connections, not just one way, work, but about work, about my life. I really find that to be an attractive thing. So Grace, tell us a little bit about if I contact you, what should I expect from you in terms of what are you going to offer me? And because sometimes you can find that what you're offering is clashing with what I'm expecting. So what should people expect when they contact you?
Well, the first step in our process is initial consultation. We charge for it. So we have an initial consultation, so that this is a two-sword. In a way that you give me your facts, this is my expectation, and we just hope. I don't go looking for people. People come looking for me. So you want to come, so you want help. So people are coming to me with already prepared. I want to come to Australia to study, and I want to do masters in this. Can you help me with the universities that I can offer and in a good place? That is the initial consultation. So I get to know about you, see what you are looking for, whether you want to study, whether you want to come as skilled migrants, or whether you want to come in a family, or you just want to come to visit. That's the first initial consultation to me, and I get to know what you want. The other thing is you gain a lot from that initial consultation, because I have these things in my fingertips. I'll tell you what to expect. So I tell you, this is what to expect. The process might cost you this much, and the process might be this long or this short, depending on your case. And it's very specific. People use other people's experience, and you put yourself into a fairly long long process. But migration is very specific because no individual is no case is exactly the same with the other person. So I normally tell people who do not depend on another person's experience to get your experience. It's good to network and it's good to hear from other people, but just be aware that your case may be very different from any other person, and it's very good to do your own research, to do your own homework, and to just consult a professional to guide you. That is my
yeah. And I would say that that initial fee is normally not that much, even from a Kenyan perspective. I believe I think it's about 150, is it?
Australian.
Yeah, 150 Australian dollars for just that initial consultation. But then it's really important because Grace will go through someone's resume or curriculum vitae, look at their experience, look at their educational background, look at what they have done, and then also compare that with what the government requires. So it's quite a process. There are certain databases that she has access to, and so she will go through that whole process. And so when someone pays that, it's really like you actually get a formal. No, it's not just a verbal consultation. You actually get a formal written advice. And so that is actually something you can sit down with and actually go through, and it gives you the options. So this is your case, and these are the options that are available for you. Now, like I said, or like she said, generally, if it's from the word go, if this person can't migrate, so for example, they don't have a bachelor's and all that, we normally just say no. We just say, you know what, just a quick scan of your CV. Nah, there's nothing to look at. You don't have the qualification, you don't have the experience, so I'm not gonna spend time. It's those ones that we feel, this person, could potentially be able to migrate, and so she has to go and look at that. And it's also a very iterative process where there's a lot of discussion to and fro. I think I wanted also to comment on the total package in terms of how expensive it is. Grace talked about 10,000 to 20,000 Australian dollars. The reality is there are very, very few clients, especially from Kenya. We deal with clients from Europe and all that, but especially from Kenya, there are very, very few clients who normally have the money from the start. If you talk to most people who have migrated, they will tell you, just like buying a shamba, they kind of go, okay, this thing is costing this, but I really want to go. And also the money is not required at the start immediately. So we are able to actually tell you when a certain amount is required and all that. So it's kind of staggered, but at the same time, we tell you in advance, this is what is required. So you don't start if you don't know how much it costs. So what we find is Kenyans, and many clients, when we start, they kind of go, wow, man, I need to look for that money and all that. But then you find that this quest to actually live a better life or, experience something different is very compelling, and they're very passionate about it. And then they start paying, and finally they relocate. So we've helped quite a number of Kenyans. We have people who have migrated. And so I've looked at the process, and once they're here, they look back and they say, I don't know how I did it, but I thank God he provided. So that's the main thing that we experience.
Okay, and you know what? A lot of times when Kenyans migrate, they usually have this mindset of, let me go and make money to invest back at home. Is that the same scenario in Australia, or is it a permanent thing, Grace, where, for example, are you guys planning to come back ever, or is that home now forever? Are you going to be coming only to visit? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. Make sure you don't forward this to our parents, because what we're gonna say, they might get shocked. It's a reach a point when you start the journey, you're thinking you'll go back. But then the large that you go, you realize you can make it home. And for us, we feel we have made Australia home, and we can call this place home. So the idea that you can go invest Kenya, maybe there is a chance we can retire in Kenya, a chance. But again, this is home. This is home. We come to visit we come visiting our families in Kenya, but this is home.
Yeah.
And we encourage our family to come and visit us to where we have settled. So we have settled, people come, and most of the people who come to Australia, they actually want to stay. People come and fall in love in this place. Okay. And people, mostly Kenyans, like to come and study. And Michael has talked about the investment of, I want to make it clear, that is skilled migration. That is when you have your degrees, your masters, and your experience. That is when you need that. But there is another cohort of people who have come out of school or they want to come in school. That's a different dynamics altogether. And that is the one that we say it's not cheap. So to come and study in Australia, the studies in Australia is very beneficial. It's good, but you have to look at, remember, it's, for example, if you're coming to do your master's in Australia, I don't think there is any master's to date that is less than 15,000 Australian dollars per semester. So that is, I wanted to put that out there because for people who are coming as skilled, you look at that money and you see it's a lot, but there are people who want to come and study. And when you're studying, you only need to pay that money per semester. So when you compare, if you have your studies in your pocket and you have your experience in your pocket, you're better off coming as a skilled migration than to study. But then if you want to start from study, there is also benefit of coming to study in Australia because then you don't struggle with the cultural change and all that because you gain that as you go. And here education is very rich. I've done my bachelor's here, I've done my master's, and I'm still studying, but I cannot compare with the study I did in Kenya. It's just very
and maybe just to add to what Grace was saying, just the other day we have this client. She's a young lady, maybe in her early 20s, and she was actually seriously considering going to Canada. And she had identified a uni and all that. And so we started discussing about Australia and, what happens in Australia and all that. And to cut the long story short, she changed her mind. And now she's been enrolled at a uni here, very, very reputable uni here in Australia. So you will find people who are going abroad are going abroad anyway. And so Australia becomes an option now that they add to that list. Do I go to Canada? Do I go to the US? Do I go to Australia? And so that's actually now the discussion. It's generally not someone who is thinking, I'm going to study in Kenya, and so that's it. It's mainly someone who is already having a desire to study abroad. And so now they add Australia into one of the options. And I must say, Australia earns a lot of money from international education. I think it's to the tune of something like $35 to $40 billion. And that's because a lot of people come here, especially from Asia and from Europe, and also from Africa is starting to discover Australia. So we have quite a number of people from Africa, but I find like many people, they just think US, because people don't know about Australia. And so when they realize, oh, you're in Australia, oh, so I could actually migrate there. And then they come. Sometimes they visit first. If their parents are wealthy, some parents want to visit, or they bring their child the first time they come. So that's the experience that we've seen.
And then I'm curious about the weather, because when I hear Canada, honestly, what comes into my head is baridi.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it also like that, or is it warm?
Did you want to talk about the weather?
Oh. Yeah, great. The weather.
Weather is beautiful.
Of course, it's not like Kenyan. Kenyan weather is very balanced.
Yeah, it's top notch.
It's top. Yeah. Well, we agree. But when it comes to Australia, depends with which state you're going. If you go to Queensland, Gold Coast, yeah, you're in paradise. Weather is beautiful.
It's just like Kenya.
Yeah, Queensland, that's where Brisbane is, and that's where Gold Coast is. That's really nice. It's coastal area. It's beautiful. If you head to Perth, it's become a bit drier. It's dry during summer, but the winter is better. So, but if you go to Tasmania, which is down there, it's a bit cold. It's colder. So depend on where you settle. So we live in Melbourne, and the most livable city in Australia. Okay, that is true. So, but the weather here, we say it's like 4 seasons. Once you get used to it, it's okay. So the cold become a little bit colder than Kenya. Summer, it's not, we don't experience much summer here. Maybe 5 days of hot, very hot days, 5 days in the whole summer, like not following one another. Like I can count 5 to 10 days of hot days, but that's Melbourne. SA is a different story depending on where you settle. Weather, but weather is not anything. We don't have snow.
I would say I haven't had a Kenyan complaining, seriously complaining about the weather in Australia. Of course, like Grace says, but if you go to Tasmania, Tasmania is really cold. Yeah, but nothing compared to Canada. In fact, many of the states here we don't see snow.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get that cold. So for Kenyans are able to.
The rooms are air conditioned.
Yeah.
So you don't really feel the cold.
But the funny thing is, our kids actually, over winter, the fight between a Kenyan parent and their kid is their kid wants to go to school in shorts. My son always wants to go to school in shorts in winter. And we, because we are from Kenya, we are like, it's so cold. And he's like, Dad, I'm not feeling cold. I'm telling you. Because kids just adapt.
Yeah, kids adapt. And you said that one of your daughters is 14 years, which means basically she's an Australian. I mean, honestly, that's how she was born there?
Yes, she was born here.
She was born there. So basically for her, that is home. And I like that. I like that. You need to decide how serious you are about moving, and then you actually do it instead of having okay, I think maybe if you want to try and see, you can go for holiday. Well, I don't know. Is Australia too far? Because even when it comes to vacationing, I rarely tend to hear Kenyans going for holiday in Australia. Is it that it's very far away, or we don't yet know a lot about it, or what?
Yeah, it is quite a distance away. You'll probably be taking an 18-hour flight, something like that in total. So it is quite far. We do visitors visas. So that is something we also do. We tend to do that a lot if a student is coming and their parents want to accompany. We've had our Grace's sister here. My parents have been here. So we do a lot of visas as well, the tourist visas or those temporary visas as well. So Australia is open. It's just, to be honest, I think it's just that people don't know about Australia, which is a good thing. I would actually say it's unexplored. And so it's this wonderful place, according to us. Like, we like sometimes I watch the news and I kind of go, geez, man, I'm just glad I'm in Australia. When my kids watch, sometimes they don't believe the things they see is happening in certain places. But so that's the thing about Australia, but very, very few people know about Australia.
Is there a Disneyland, for example?
Yeah, there is what we call Gold Coast. And Gold Coast is where people go, where Grace was talking about Queensland, where people go for those rides and all that. But obviously, nothing beats the US when it comes to their Disney World. So this is, I guess, a micro Disney World in Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. I'm so excited already. I mean, I think you've really made me curious about Australia. I'm like, oh my God, it seems so unexplored. It seems like such a nice place that is balanced. And are you finding that with time, because you've been there for 14 years, are Kenyans tending to come there more in terms of, has the exposure increased? And I'm also wondering, what is the role of the Australian embassy in all this? If I can get a visitor's visa from your company, do you mean that I never have to go to the embassy the way that people usually have to when they are going to the US? You know how it is, eh? You have to first of all book online, and you never get a date that is soon, and then you have to go so early in the morning. The experience is a bit hostile. How is it with the Australian embassy?
Oh, Australian visas are done on desktop. So at the comfort of your home, we process we do the whole process. You will go to do medicals and biometrics at specified places where the embassy have selected, and you don't go to the embassy. You never go to Australian embassy at all. Australian embassy is for for governmental, the reason why they are there is to take care of the Australians in Kenya and government and their role as what do you call it?
Sort of liaison. So
so they are not for the visas. They are not to help people who want to come to Australia. Yes, they process the visas themselves. There is a processing office in Nairobi, but you will not interact with them. You will do everything unless they call you for an interview for a reason or another, which is rare. But if they doubt something, especially I see that with the partners visas, if they doubt anything, they will call you for an interview, but it's very rare. There must be, they must have information that is not favorable to you that they would like you to comment. That's the only time they would call you for an interview. Rather than that, everything is on desktop. So I process the visa, all the visas from Australia from the desktop. So when I start with someone, I do everything for them. So, and I will just need to set them to do biometric and to do medicals. And that's how people get surprised. I got a visa, it's on my email. Yes, and guess what? It's not stamped on your passport either. So, yes, you will have to carry that email with you.
It's a very advanced system, very advanced. So people don't go to
user-friendly. I'm not even. It's not anxiety building. It's relaxed. There's no stress about it because sometimes when you think of going to the US, honestly, you really need to build capacity to just start the process. But here, super friendly.
And I think that's the other thing that we want to encourage Kenyans to do, especially those people who are thinking of studying abroad. Australia is a really good option. And we never try to convince someone to come, like in terms of pressure someone, but we tell them about Australia. So then they can make an informed decision because they potentially already know about Canada or the US. And so we just present the case of how Australia really is. And we find that many times when we tell people how Australia is, especially parents like it when they know their children are in a place where they will not, for example, be faced with discrimination or anything, those kind of things where they are worried about. They can focus on their school and do their work and be disciplined. And that's what generally parents actually want. They don't want to worry too much about their safety, their security, and all that. And the security here is really, really good. I mean, I'm thinking about my house here. We don't have a fence. You literally come from the road to the house. There's glass, it's just on the front side of the house. And nobody ever worries about, someone breaking in and all that. So we generally don't have those kind of issues. So a student coming here, all they need to do is focus on their studies and they should be able to make it. And the other major thing that is important is we have globally recognized universities. So I don't know if you know this, but penicillin, for example, was discovered here, or rather, they came up with it here. And so those kind of things. So Australian universities are very well advanced, and so that presents a very good case for someone who is wanting to study either whatever course you want to do. And that's the other important thing about talking to a migration agent, because as you're talking to them, someone might say, I'm not sure, but I want to do science, but I'm not sure. So then the migration agent knows the unis. And so they can actually be able to give you all the different streams of science in these different universities. But also the universities have different school fees levels. So again, that's another thing. And so it's very important to talk to a migration agent because it helps you easily settle, or an education consultant easily settle on the right thing. One big advantage we also have is because we are actually in Australia. And so we are talking out of experience, not just telling someone, you go ahead and find out how it is. It's like we live here. So and we are citizens, by the way. So both of us are Australian citizens as well. So that actually helps a lot.
Yeah, that's a big selling point, honestly, Michael, because you're talking from experience. It's not theory. And one thing I wondered also is, so do you still have your regular job and also this, or are you now just full-time doing migration?
Yeah, I'm doing full-time. I've been doing full-time migration for 5 years. I don't deal with Kenyans only. I do worldwide. Most of my clients are from Europe. I have Africa, wide Africa. I have the whole world, and to be honest, yeah, it's full on. I do migration agent as a full-time job.
Grace, I'm
So
so happy for you because you're living your dream life. You're not local, you're international, girl. You know what you
yes,
wanted.
I am.
Yeah.
The thing I would really like to put across for the parents who want their student to study here. One of the questions that I get asked often by the parents is, how sure am I when I send my child there, they will come to study? And I think because I may not be knowing why that question has come up many times, it's a concern to the parents. Why? How sure am I they are coming to study or they are coming to do other things? But Australian government is very strict on the students. You say you are coming here to study, you must attend the study classes. You
Grace,
have
we're running
to
out of
leave.
time. Unfortunately, I have to cut you short. Please give
Yes.
us your contacts and then we wrap up the show. Tell us, how can people
Okay.
reach you?
To reach me, the best way to reach me is through email. You can get me through info@mgmigration.com.au. And my phone number is 061 424 148 Please, I do not respond very well with WhatsApp because it's not a formal communication. So I prefer email. So email is info@mgmigration.com.au.
Wow. Thank you guys so much. It's been such a great pleasure to have you. And Aussie, I think, is going to be seeing more people coming, more people considering it as a place they can visit, a place they can relocate to or migrate, And that is because of the information that you've given us today. So it's been really great having you. And yeah, we look forward to people coming to visit and moving there if they want to experience a different kind of life. Thank you so much, and we shall see you next time. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Anne,
Anne.
for
Thank you,
having
viewer.
us. Thank you, viewers. Yeah.